guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, I'm Helena. My daughter is Layla. She's 14 months old. She's napping right now, which is kind of the theme of this video. I'm going to tell you how we got her to sleep 12 hours straight through the night. And she's been doing this since, I have to say, I don't know, maybe even 4 months old. Like, she has always been a good sleeper, but I owe that all to the sleeping practices that we have been implementing since we came home from the hospital. So I just want to preface this video just by saying, basically, these are no like surefire ways. I've only had one baby, so I can only speak on what we did and what worked for us. So this won't necessarily work for everybody. The first tip that I have to say, and that I think is so important, is creating a schedule. And I'm not really a very scheduled person in life, but since I've had a baby, I've been very scheduled with her and her eating and her sleeping and her napping and all that stuff. So the first thing that I would say is try and create a schedule for your baby, a nap schedule and a sleeping schedule, and around a time that they're gonna be going to bed. When Layla was around 4 months, 3 to 4 months, she was going to bed around 8 o'clock. And as time went on, she started getting tired earlier. So her bedtime started becoming 7 o'clock. And she quickly became really accustomed to going to bed at 7 o'clock, rubbing her eyes and just the normal sleeping tired signals that babies give. So she has been sleeping at 7 o'clock since 4 months, like I said. And she sleeps through the night all the way up till 7 a.m. So I wake up with her at 7 a.m. I'm a stay-at-home mom and my boyfriend Mark goes to work. It's a pretty nice schedule that we have going on. I mean, I am blessed to have a baby that sleeps so well, but I can't say that it's not because of the things that we've been doing since we came home. So the first thing that I have to say, which might sound shocking, is we've actually never slept with Layla. Not once. She's never slept in the bed with us. For the most part, she's never napped with us. Mark's the only one that has napped with her a few times, but she has never spent the night in our bed. And I think that is a huge thing for getting them to be independent and kind of sleep on their own and have their nighttime be their independent time. So I'm kind of looking at my phone because I have some notes. I don't want to just like go off on a tangent here and say whatever comes out. But so my first tip, like I said, would be trying to create some kind of schedule. And that's not going to work for everyone. I know that I have friends that aren't scheduled and they just kind of go with the flow, and that might work for them. For me, I just like to know what's going on. I like to be in control. I like to know how my day is going to go and when she's going to be taking a nap and stuff like that. So that would be my first tip. My second tip is creating a bedtime routine that you're going to be consistent with and do every single night. And that's going to kind of put her in the bedtime zone and get her ready for bed and let her know that it's, getting time to go to sleep. Something we do that I know basically most parents do is obviously a bedtime bottle. So she gets her bottle and we do a diaper change and we get, fresh pajamas on her as normal. But also something that I've been doing for months is putting essential oils on her feet and on her chest at nighttime. And this is the one I use. I just found, I really wasn't into essential oils. I'm just starting to kind of get into it. But months ago, when she was five or 6 months, I found this. You can get this at Walmart or Target. It's called Oilogic. And they have different ones. They have one for cough and sneeze, I think it is, for when they're sick. And then they have one for sleep. I have both. So I started off with the cough one because she was having just a stuffy nose and stuff like that. So I started using that. And then I actually noticed that she was sleeping really well after putting the oils on. So I kept doing that, and that was something that I used every single night, even if she wasn't having a cough or whatever, that's what I would use. And then just not too long ago, I ended up buying the Sleep one, which I got at Target, and I put this on her feet and her chest, just like I said, and just zip up her onesie and try not to let them, you know, fuss around with it. And I think that it does something. I could be wrong, but I have seen a difference in her just fully sleeping throughout the night with no wake ups. We haven't had to wake up in the middle of the night for feeds or anything since she was 3-4 months. She would just sleep straight through the night, which was amazing for her and amazing for us. Definitely try and create some kind of routine that you're going to be consistent with and that you're going to do every night that's going to represent, you know, bedtime and getting ready to go to sleep. So let's see. Tip number 3 is pretty basic and most parents use these, but a white noise machine I think is a godsend. We have, I don't know which one it is. I'll insert a photo like right here because she's using it right now because she's actually napping. As you guys can see, she's napping upstairs. Yeah, a white noise machine is amazing. It blocks out other sounds. If we're having people over or if we're downstairs or out by the pool or doing whatever we're doing, she doesn't hear anything that we're doing. And the white noise totally blocks out any outdoor sounds. So, plus it's also really calming. I know a lot of adults that even use white noise machines. So that's something that I would kind of invest in just to see if that works for your baby. Or it could be songs, it could be whatever works for you. I guess it's kind of like a guess and check kind of thing. That's my 3rd tip. Try a white noise machine. My 4th tip is try to make, and this one is so important, try to make bedtime and nap time an independent thing. So for her, going to bed, she goes to bed in her crib now. It's something she does by herself. It's never something we're involved in. We put her down for bed, she goes to bed, and that's her time to herself. And she understands that, and she's understood that for over a year or about a year now. Something I would say, and something that I actually really struggled with, because there's obviously going to be rough times. There's sleep regression times and just different growth times where things aren't going exactly as normal and you just kind of have to adjust. And most of the time they come and they pass. So we've had that. I think there's like a 6-month sleep regression maybe. So we've gone through all the regression periods and it can be frustrating, especially when you get, you know, used to a schedule that is working for everybody in the house. But the good news is that it comes and it goes. So something I would recommend is if you put your baby in the bed and if they're sitting up or rolling around, depending on the age your baby is, try not to rush in there and calm them down or get frustrated. And that's something that I struggle with, where if I put her right down, and especially now because she can just sit right up and do basically whatever she wants. So she kind of keeps herself up, which can be an issue. But try not to rush in and just let them do their own thing, let them move around the crib, let them play with the blanket. She has a few stuffed animals in there that she plays with. Eventually they will tire themselves out. I haven't had to deal with like a cry it out type of situation ever, and I really kind of credit that to these things that I've implemented since we came home from the hospital. Definitely try not to rush in, let them tire themselves out, let them move around the crib, let them play around and do whatever they're doing. Try to, you know, look away from the monitor because it can be frustrating and it can be really hard to not just go in there and try and do something else and get them back down, and it can be frustrating if you're going in and out and in and out. So just let them do their thing. Let them tire themselves out, and then eventually if they don't fall asleep, which most of the time she will fall asleep after playing for a little bit, then you can go in, and sometimes I do this, you go in, lay her down on her back, and just tuck her back in and try and get her back into like that sleep mode. And she should be, he or she, whoever baby is, should be ready for sleep after playing around and fussing around and all that stuff. And if your baby takes a pacifier, then you might want to go in when you're going in for that and offer the pacifier, and that might help. Layla does take a pacifier, so that's something that she uses at bedtime to kind of get herself ready for bed. So that would be my 4th tip, is just kind of let them figure it out on their own. and don't go in too many times. Don't just keep going in. You're gonna drive yourself crazy and you're just gonna get really frustrated, and it's not a good situation. So try to just let them be and figure it out on their own. Eventually they will fall asleep. So my fifth tip is kind of a hard one because it's easier said than done. For me, all right, I'm just gonna tell you what it is before I explain it. But what it says is try not to co-sleep and try to move your child to their own room if possible at 6 months to reduce unnecessary wake-ups from noise. So I think it's recommended that your child sleeps in your room with you for 6 months, their first 6 months, and then you can move them into a different room or into their own room or whatever your situation is. And that might not work for everybody. You might have to share a room with your kid and that might be your situation. So I'm just going off what worked for us and how we did it. So Layla had her own room, and at 6 months we decided she was ready. She'd been sleeping in the bassinet in our room for the whole 6 months, and she was doing fine, but it was getting kind of frustrating for us because we have to be quiet all the time. She goes to bed at 7, so the TV was, a distraction, and it made it hard for her to sleep, and it was interrupting with our time after she went to bed. So we decided it was time to move her into her own room, which was so nice to be able to have the lights on after 7 and watch our shows and just do whatever we want to do. Yeah, it's easier said than done to say try not to co-sleep, especially because Layla was breastfed for the first month of her life, and then my supply, just couldn't keep up. So then she started on formula, and when she started on formula, it's easier because, you don't need to be near your baby all the time and have that easy accessibility to your child. So I find that, a lot of breastfeeding moms end up co-sleeping, and that's fine, like to each their own. I'm just saying for us, what worked and what got her sleeping for 12 hours through the night is this. So if you can, and if you're pregnant and you're watching this, try when you get home to keep them in their bassinet and just make that their spot, and don't give up. If they don't like it, she didn't like it for weeks. There were weeks of sleepless nights, and it was frustrating and it was hard, and I was breastfeeding, but we never slept with it. Part of the thing is that it was something that we never really wanted to do. I know a lot of parents end up just giving in and like they want the baby snuggles and all that stuff. It was just something that we never felt like we really wanted to do. So she would sleep in her bassinet. The first few weeks we had, really no sleep at all, and we would just hold her and walk around, and we would put her in the swing and sit out in the living room with her and put her on our chest and just try and get her to sleep then. But eventually she did take to the bassinet. A big thing that I think helped is she never got a taste of sleeping with us. She never got that. So she'll never want that, and she'll never crave that, because her sleeping time is her independent time. And to her, sleeping isn't something that you do with mommy and daddy. So the next thing is I'm gonna explain something that we did that was probably not, that we shouldn't have done, and that we won't do probably again. But basically, she was swaddled every single night. She was a big swaddler. She loved being swaddled. We had the Velcro ones that she would just, you put their legs in and Velcro it around. And we extended swaddled for probably until she was 6 or 7 months, which is crazy. But Layla has not been a very mobile baby until now. Now she's like kind of, crawling all over the place and starting to try standing, walking, whatever. So she's a little delayed in her mobility. So we didn't have to worry about her rolling over in bed. So that wasn't something that we were scared about. So swaddling made sense for us to do, but it got to the point where she actually didn't fit into the biggest swaddles, because you're not supposed to swaddle like a 6 or 7 month old baby. And it took us she went to physical therapy, which if you've watched my previous videos, you've seen that she went for torticollis and the helmet and all that. And the physical therapist just kind of looked at me like, swaddling, why are you swaddling? So I kind of cut it off cold turkey immediately. which was fine. We ended up just moving her from a swaddle to a sleep sack, and she actually took to that pretty well. I think we were just like reliant on the swaddle, thinking that was the only way that she slept, and we didn't even give it a chance to take the swaddle away. So I just want to let you know that we have made mistakes. I don't want to like sit here and make it seem like, oh, we just had it all figured out and it was just smooth sailing, because it really wasn't. We had our struggles, and looking back, you know, there's some things that I definitely would do differently, but I'm also really happy with the way that we handled the sleeping situation. The benefits of these tips that I'm giving you and getting your baby to sleep in her own room eventually at around 6 months or whenever you feel comfortable doing that is you get alone time. So she goes to bed at 7, which is amazing. And at 7 o'clock, you know, she's sleeping and we get to do whatever we want to do. And for me, just personally, me time is like such a big thing. And if I had to be up with my child all day long and they didn't go to bed till 9, or they stayed up with us and then I had to sleep with them, it would just be never ending. And I do need a break. And that is why I'm like so thankful for our schedule that we have right now. And for the way that she's adjusted to it since birth, basically. So yeah, the benefits of these tips that I'm giving you and getting your baby to sleep in their own spot and the independence thing and all that is alone time is huge, couple time is huge, and a full night's sleep is freaking huge. Like, seriously, we've been getting full night's sleeps since she was 4 months old. That's insane. There's so many moms that are out there just like totally struggling and not hardly getting any sleep, and I just can't imagine. So I'm trying to share the wealth here with what I know and what's worked for us. And you know, again, this might not work for everybody. I only know what I personally have experienced with my daughter. There's tons of factors to everything, but I just wanted to share what worked for us and how we got her to sleep 12 hours a night straight. Really the biggest thing I can say, and that I kind of want to close this video with, is it all starts with what you implement as soon as you come home from the hospital. So as soon as you come home from the hospital, you know, use the bassinet. There's a reason why in the hospital there's a bassinet that you put the baby in, and you don't just sleep with the baby in your hospital bed, you know? That's how I think it's supposed to be. But I am totally not judgmental to any other moms, and however you want to do it, and whatever works for you and your family and your baby works for you. I mean, that's just how it is, and whatever works for us works for us. So really all I can say is the sooner you start, the sooner you'll start seeing results with that, and just really try and make sleeping an independent thing for your baby. So really that's all I have to say for this video. I kind of went down my list of things that I wanted to mention that I came up with over really this morning. I like wrote down a list of the things that worked for us and that I think really helped. So I hope this helped you guys. If it does, comment down below. Let me know. I would love to know if any of these tips are actually helping. And if you're pregnant, like I said, just remember that everything starts at the beginning. As soon as you get home from the hospital, try and start these habits, because if you don't start immediately, then they will just get accustomed to sleeping with mom, sleeping with dad, and whatever it is. So like I said, I hope this video helped you guys in some way, or even helped one person, then it would be worth it. But yeah, if you like this video, then like it down below, subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.